0, 1. Let's get started.
Hello you guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, then welcome. My name is Olivia. I am a freshly new licensed nail tech, and I'm so glad to have you guys join my video. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing and I would appreciate you so much. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I achieved the 3D flowers. This is not my first attempt at trying them. I have tried them before in the past, but this is my first time actually getting them done. So if you want to see how I did that, how I achieved these 3D flowers, then continue watching this video and we'll get to it in a minute. As far as my acrylic application and how it goes in this video, it's a little messy. It's all over the place and it's definitely not my best work. It's extremely hot in my nail room right now and the beads are drying super fast. They're not even polymerizing properly, so I'm just working with what I have. I'm really just trying to get some acrylic on the nails so that I can do the 3D flowers. I'm really not trying to be extra. So please excuse my application. This is not a proper application video, okay? So just keep that in mind. I do feel that it's necessary to show you guys these steps as well because if you do nails, especially a home-based nail tech, there will be some situations where the environment is not necessarily working to your benefit and you will have to work in some hotter or cooler environments. Like I mentioned earlier, it's hot in my nail room, so the beads are drying super fast. If it's cold, the beads will be more runny and it'll take a little longer to harden up a bit. So just keep that in mind when you are working from home or somewhere that you're not familiar, if you're a travel nail tech or whatever the case may be. So that's why I'm keeping these clips in here so you can see how I still managed to get the acrylic on and make it look decent even though my environment is not ideal. So I want you guys to notice after I place my bead how I'm using the belly of the brush instead of the tip of the brush like I usually would do. And that's because I need to apply a little bit more pressure to get the acrylic to move and get to where I need it to be before it gets hard. Although I don't have a bead method as far as how many beads I do use, sometimes I like to stick to around 2 or 3, and that's just how it works out. It's not necessarily because I have a 2, 3 bead method, but with this air being a little on the hotter side, I am having to use more beads, which is fine, and I am using wetter beads as well. I like to use the smaller beads because I feel like the more acrylic I pick up, it's just going to be harder to move, and especially if it gets hard really quickly. I'm not going to be able to move all of that product. I'm going to have to do a lot of filing, and I'm trying to avoid any excess work that I have to do. So that's why I'm using such small beads, and I do recommend doing that in hotter environments. Also, another thing that I wanted to point out, after my bead has polymerized on my brush, that powder that's still there, that should not be there. When a bead polymerizes correctly, the whole thing will be shiny and smooth. But like I said, it's not polymerizing properly, so just keep that in mind. A normal bead in a good environment will not still have powder just sitting on it. And I know it may seem like I'm repeating myself a lot, and I am, and that's just because I don't want you guys to think that this is the proper way that I usually do nails or that you should be doing them this way. I want you to understand what a proper bead looks like, and it's not what I am showing you guys in this video, hence my environment. So while I was cleaning up in my cuticle area, I didn't really have a good view because my camera is in the way slightly. But I'm going to show you guys how to go in and fix little dents and things that you may have, or some spaces on the nail that you may have missed with some acrylic. So you would get a really small amount, like just enough on the tip of your brush to fill that space. You don't want to go in with a whole bunch of acrylic and then your nail ends up bulky. So I would say clean majority of the monomer out of your brush, dip the tip in there, and then you go and place the acrylic in that small space and go ahead and smooth it out. I hope that makes sense for you guys. If I didn't explain it correctly, then you saw how I demonstrated it. So hopefully that helps you guys out. Afterwards, being that this application wasn't too horribly bad to the point where it's super lumpy, I do not have to file a whole lot. So I'm just going in and shaping the sides and the end, the free edge. And I'm also not going hard either because you guys know I do not like to mess up my silicone hands. They do, they're not super expensive, but they cost enough to the point where I'm not just going to be out here messing them up. So yeah, you're going to go ahead, go in and file, get your stuff done. You don't need to e-file because you don't have much to really go in and fix. And that is a benefit of having a smooth application. All of my applications are not this smooth, but I'm working on it. I know some of you guys who've seen some of my past videos remember me mentioning getting a dust collector, and I finally got one and I absolutely love it. I got it from Amazon and I will link it down below for any of you who are interested. It is not super expensive at all. I think it was like $50 maybe, but it works extremely well. So if you want to check it out, then check my description box and I'll leave a link for you guys. So next we're getting into the French tip. So this design is like 3 French tip and 2 ombre nails on one hand. So I'm not really gonna explain how I do my French tip. My last video, I think the very last video I posted, I went in depth about how I achieved my French tip, by hand drawing them. So if you wanna get some in-depth details about that, then go check out my last video. If you want to skip past this part, then feel free, but I still just put it in here for those of you who may not have seen it and just want to see how I do it, not necessarily learn how. But yeah, so I'm gonna let this play out and I will be back in a minute. So now it's time to airbrush the ombre nails that I'm going to do. I am using white because it is a white ombre. Yes, I could have done it with the white acrylic and the nude, but being that the air was super dry, I wasn't really trying to incorporate too much, so it would be difficult for me to apply. So I decided to go in with my airbrush. I mixed a little acetone and some white gel polish, mixed it all together, and boom, there you go. If you really want to get in depth about how to use an airbrush, I have a full video on that as well. Also, how to properly clean your airbrush. So feel free to go and check that out as well. I'm going to be very honest. It took me a long time to get some color acrylic because honestly, I do not feel like you absolutely need them. I think they're beneficial for when you want to do 3D flowers in different colors and things like that. But as far as doing a nail set, I don't feel like you need it. If you want to encapsulate and use glitters and have like a green undertone or something, you can use green gel polish. You can also use your airbrush for ombre. You don't have to use a white and a nude acrylic. Acrylic. And like anything you really want to achieve, you can do it with just a basic nude acrylic and gel polish. Like, look how good this ombre turned out. And that's just gel polish and an airbrush. So, I mean, that's why I tell you guys, please don't go out and just buy a shit ton of acrylic when you're just starting out because you really don't need it. I didn't need it. I got this far without it. I just recently got color acrylics and it's been almost a year. But don't don't just buy into everything that they put out. Like, oh, you can use this, use that, use that. Even if I say it's good acrylic, if you don't need it at the moment, then don't go and buy it. Alright, now that that's out of the way, I'm going in with a little bit of bling. I am using my really good crystals here. They are not the plastic rhinestones or whatever. I don't know. Because I really wanted this color. I really wanted this set to be like super blingy and shiny. So I decided to pull out some of my good rhinestones. I absolutely love them. The sparkle is amazing. On the ring finger, I will be using my other rhinestones because, not on the ring finger, on the middle finger, I'll be using my plain rhinestones because I don't have them in the smaller sizes in my good ones. So I have to get some more. But anyways, so if you see a difference in the sparkle of the rhinestones, that is why I am using two different kinds, the plastic kind and the glass kind. So just keep that in mind. And now we're about to get into these 3D flowers. Okay, first mistake I made was having my bead entirely too wet. And y'all, while I'm recording this video, I'm literally learning at the same time. So this is not really necessarily a how-to video. This is more of a make some of the mistakes that I made type video. Like, we're learning literally at the same time. In no way, shape, or form am I showing you or trying to tell you how to do these flowers because I'm literally learning right now in real time. Even though I'm not teaching you how to do these 3D flowers, I can give you some advice on what not to do. Number one, obviously, have a dry bead. The drier the bead, the more you will be able to work with it. You don't want to have to chase this acrylic around to get a petal. You want that petal to stay in place and you want to be able to sculpt it. When I've tried this before, for some reason it wasn't clicking in my head. Hey, have dry bead, like duh. But I mean, sometimes things happen when they're supposed to happen. As you can see with the dryer bead, I'm able to go in and sculpt around my petal. I could get the shape that I'm looking for. It does not dry super fast to the point where I cannot work with it. Versus if it was runny, I would have to chase it all over the place to try to keep its shape. but that's not what I'm having to do. Also, I pick up the smallest amount of acrylic and I let it polymerize on the brush the same way you would do during your acrylic application. And then I place it down on the nail. Once it's down on the nail, I press down the middle because you kind of want to flatten it out. You want the middle of your petal to be pretty flat. Like the outsides is where most of your acrylic should be. And I did get better with this as the nails went on. This is not the perfect flower by far, but it is really a whole lot better than what I used to do. You'll see at the end when I show you guys the final look, I did do this design on 2 hands. So you will see what the other hand looks like, and it is 1,000 times better than this one. However, I do not record both hands, even though I am working on two. And now I'm going to start working on the pointer finger, and I'm just going to do 2 petals in one corner where the rhinestone is, and then 2 in the other corner. These turned out a lot better than the other finger did because I was getting a grasp on what I should and should not be doing. Also, what I learned by the time I got to this finger is that you can go ahead and place your bead for your other petal while the first one that you place is drying, and then just go in and flatten that first one out or get it to whatever shape you want it to be to. You do have time to work with it. Another thing that I want to point out, I have looked at a lot of these nails with the 3D flowers, and I mean from professionals that's been doing it for years, and all of their petals are not perfect. So I'm not saying don't strive to get your flowers to look as good as they possibly can, but also don't think that nail critics are just walking around in everyday life inspecting all of your work. Okay? Because you'll see when I show you at the end what my nails look like. When you look at them, they're gonna look really, really good. Like, really good. Despite one hand looking a little jacked up, it's still gonna look good. So, I don't know. I think I try to keep you guys from stressing yourself out doing your acrylic journey like I did, because I am very critical of my own work. But I also realized that nobody is perfect. Every design isn't perfect. And I look at people who've been doing it for years, and I can still point out imperfections in their work that looks amazing. So I don't try to be perfect. I do try to be as good as I can be, but that's gonna take time. It hasn't even been a year that I've been doing nails, so I don't expect to be perfect, even though in my mind I want to be. All right, you guys, so enough about that. This is the end result. And that top hand, the one that's on top, is the second hand that I did, and you can see how my petals turned out so much better. And that's only practicing tonight and getting it to look like this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed everything that I had to say. If you have any comments, please leave them down below in the comments section. I thank you so much for watching this video. If you have not already, please consider subscribing, and I will catch you all in the next one.